great to see you all. Great to see upwards of 40 plus people. We'll see if it hits 50 today. So thank you all for joining us. Welcome to our Veteran Outreach and Hiring Symposium. So this is actually our second symposium on this topic. The first one we had was last year, where we invited HR division partners and recruiters to join. It was a really good conversation, and some of you were part of that discussion as well. And so the takeaway from that event is that we should host it again, and this time invite the lab community. So here we are, and it's great to see you all so we can cover this topic again and share some pertinent information. So my name is Lady Idos, Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer, and I'm pleased to welcome you all to today's program. So first, a few housekeeping tips. Everyone's already used to Zoom by now, but if you could please keep your audio muted unless you're our speaker, and please reserve your questions during the Q&A, and at which point you can do the raise hand function, or you can submit a question in the chat box. We will be recording this event, so you can share today's discussion with your colleagues in case any of your colleagues missed it. So on to our program. So today's symposium is an opportunity to learn about outreach and hiring best practices for veterans, Berkeley Lab's current initiatives, and efforts to increase representation and engagement among our veteran employees. In addition to improving the lab's overall veteran programs, our objective today is to encourage local areas and divisions to consider the veteran population within their outreach, diversity, and inclusion strategy and efforts. And before we introduce our first speaker, I'd like to start off by sharing some data about where we are with our veteran population. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay, can folks see that okay? Yes, okay, great. So as a federal contractor, Berkeley Lab is subject to the Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs under the Department of Labor. They have target or aspirational goals for our contractor community in different areas such as disability and also for veterans and others. So for the hiring benchmark goal for a federal contractor, the aspirational goal there is 5.9%. So they don't track in terms of the overall population of the employee, but it's about the number of new hires or the percentage of new hires within a year. So what you see here are the data from 2017 to 2019. Where the veteran population was at 2.39%, and you can see that number going downwards. And the story that the data is telling us is that we had several retirements during that time, but if you look at the new hires, we have increased in terms of trends at least. It started at 2.55, it went down to 1%, and it went back up. That hopefully we continue on that upward trajectory. So in terms of a new hires, the percentage between 2.62 of where we are, and we're looking to see where we are for 2020, we still have a ways to go to get to the 5.9%. So that brings us to today's program on what can we do as a federal contractor and also as a community and a company that's trying to increase our veteran presence. So I'll stop sharing my screen there. And so with that, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Kelly Johnson. As the Talent Outreach and Sourcing Specialist, Kelly leads a lab-wide diversity outreach efforts to help the lab achieve its diversity inclusion goals and talent acquisition objectives. Kelly is responsible for developing diverse talent pools. Sorry, I lost my thing there, sorry. Diverse talent pools, partnering with organizations within the local community, and participating in multidisciplinary, multicultural STEM conferences to increase brand awareness for Berkeley Lab and raise visibility for DOE programs at national labs. Kelly collaborates with various lab programs, including the DEI Office, Government and Community Relations, workforce development and education, employee resource groups, and strategic communications to help promote and brand Berkeley Lab as an employer of choice for diverse talent. Welcome, Kelly. Kelly, sorry, muted. It happens.
How's that?
Perfect, thank you.
Wonderful. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for the Veteran and Hiring Symposium. And like Lady said, when we met in June of 2019 for the Veteran Symposium, I was able to share how the lab would work to expand our outreach and engagements of veteran job seekers by establishing some best practices. So I'm going to share some of that with you today. I'll talk about how we developed our veteran hiring strategy, what we did to really build out our external partnerships and build community partnerships, and then as well as cultivate how we build a military-friendly culture, okay? So one of the things we were able to learn pretty quickly is, you know, once you establish some best practices, there will be some positive impacts to the organization. So by establishing a veteran hiring strategy, we'll start to see stronger candidate pools, which will result in better retention rates. We'll also see stronger teams and more experienced leaders, because that's really what the military personnel are trained to do, right? Lead teams, leadership skills, things like that. We also found out that the methods that we're going to roll out really will help us increase the veteran hiring benchmark that Lady explained to you. And ultimately, our goal is really to be a recognized military-friendly employer. So establishing long-term career paths for veterans is also a positive aspect of rolling out this program. And it also allows our veteran employee community to really engage with, you know, our external partnerships and with other veteran employees at the lab. So with regard to best practices for a veteran hiring strategy, really focusing on aspects around attracting, retaining, and supporting our veteran community. So some of the things I've done over the past year is work with our local Veteran Affairs office. There is a VA office in Oakland that is partnering with us on a lot of initiatives relative to virtual career fairs and other programs that I'll share with you further into the presentation. Another thing we've established that it's when drafting job descriptions, it'll be ideal to use language that's going to appeal to them and attract to them. I was pretty surprised once I started to talk to veteran job seekers that they just were not aware that Berkeley Lab was interested in hiring veterans. They'll hear a lot from other national laboratories, probably DoD-funded laboratories, but just weren't aware that we were interested or offering positions to veterans. So that's one area where we can really address is with our job descriptions and how we use our language to attract them or appeal to them. Another area is promoting our jobs across all social media, veteran communities. I've managed the social media platforms for the HR team, and what I've done is establish connections and follow organizations that really, for the candidates we want to attract, the talent we want to attract in the veteran communities, using specific hashtags to get attention. Remember, Berkeley Lab Jobs is our handle for recruiting and HR. Another area is we're going to implement a diversity outreach website. So on that website, we'll also have an events calendar to announce our veteran career fairs and any type of outreach opportunities. We also want to have a section on that page called Why Work For Us, which would be a veteran-focused section that highlights testimonials from our veteran employee population, as well as really share our inclusive work environment for veterans, even including videos from our veteran employees. And then we also have established some partnerships with vet service-run organizations out in the local community. And then, like Lady shared with you some of the statistics around veteran hiring, that's another area where we can kind of highlight that data, not just for job seekers, but also for our employers, because veterans want to know how they'll be treated, how they'll be respected, what the interview process will look like when they go to a company website or before they apply. So that type of information is going to be really helpful for them. Okay, we're also looking to implement a newsletter for the veteran talent community at the lab, and then highlight any type of veteran programs that we are currently ready to roll out, as well as any vet awards among our veteran community too at the lab. So let me start off by sharing some of the partnerships that we've been able to establish within the community. So you'll see more about the specific organizations further into this presentation, but one of the things that I found to be really easy is connecting with the student veteran groups on campus. I've been able to align our jobs or highlight our jobs, distribute our jobs to a strong university college network listserv. So whenever we want to attract a veteran candidate or veteran talent, though I work with some of the recruiting team members and hiring managers to develop flyers that can be distributed to highlight our jobs. So the goal is really to attract qualified military talent to the lab, which it hasn't been that easy. So we established relationships, local agencies, community resources, nonprofit groups, and things like that. So, and then leveraging that veteran affairs resource and our contacts there and other nonprofit organizations that train veterans to help them find employment. So we've done the gamut. So I'm looking forward to sharing all of those new programs with you as well. Okay, let's look at student veteran groups. So these are some of the organizations that we can partner with. They have student veteran groups that are interested in learning more about Berkeley Lab opportunities, mentorship opportunities with our VERG members. They're interested in guest speaker opportunities, info sessions, on-site visits, things like that. So this is a large opportunity for us to engage not just our VERG members, but our lab-wide community to really mentor veteran students. One program that I wanted to make sure I shared with you guys is Vets to STEM. So last November, I want to say that WD&E program manager Colette was invited to participate in Vets to STEM, hosted by the Colorado School of Mines, Colorado State University, and University of Colorado Boulder. So we had representatives from the lab and our VERG group participate in this, and there were also a total of 9 national laboratories that were able to participate in this event. And the really cool thing about it, I wasn't able to go with WD&E and our VERG members to this event, but I did participate in the Student Veteran Association conference this past January, and so many of the students that from these 3 schools, as well as other schools that participated, did flock to our Berkeley Lab table to learn more about our opportunities. So I thought it was a really great segue from who they got to meet at the Vets to STEM Technology Expo last November to really, and their interest was really piqued, and to learn more about our jobs, learn more about our research. And I thought that was pretty exciting. And then we also have, let's see, a local nonprofit agency that we partner with. This particular relationship was established around 2015 through Lady in the DEI Office. So Empower's mission is to create pathways to economic prosperity by launching digital careers for military veterans, spouses, and young adults from underserved communities. So Berkeley Lab and Empower connected at a Swords to Plowshares employer event back in 2015. And since 2016, the lab has hosted 12 Empower interns, alumni, and have had 2 career positions filled by Empower representatives. So in partnership with the lab's Veteran Employee Resource Group, as well as Talent Outreach in the DEI office, we have hosted dozens of veterans and underrepresented youth at what we host every year for them for Empower is the annual Veterans Day on the Job. So this past year, in 2019, we hosted an on-site visit for about 40 different students. That included a tour of the Molecular Foundry. It also included job search and interview readiness workshop. It included mock interview demonstration by representatives from our IT workstation support group, as well as presentations by Jason Bush, who is an Empower graduate and current IT employee, and you'll hear from him a little later as well. And then Bill Cannon, senior HR DP from Computing Sciences, he wrapped it up with a presentation on why it's good to have vets work at a national lab. And then we had a networking event and a group photo opportunity that day as well. Really good turnout. Some of our newer programs include Hiring Our Heroes. It's a corporate fellowship program. It's an initiative by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which was launched around 2011. So this nationwide initiative really helps veterans, transitioning service members, and military spouses find employment opportunities. So this particular program is free to the host company. It's a 12-week program offered 3 times a year. It is consisted of more mid to senior level veterans. So it's not going to be your entry level. Highly degreed, multiple degrees in all areas that could really impact the lab, from engineering to project management to operations, accounting, learning and development, HR, health and safety. It's a really strong group of candidate base for us to tap into and utilize. They had some hiccups in their launching their program for this most recent cohort, May 3rd through July 23rd, because so many companies are doing virtual hiring right now. Oh, sorry about that. Virtual hiring, but I do know for a fact that some of the other national labs do participate in Hiring Our Heroes and have hired some of these fellows for the current cohort, and they are using virtual teleworking programs for them, and if they're not on site. So it is possible to still engage in this program if your group or your particular team isn't on site at the lab. If the work can be done virtually, it's totally possible to utilize these resources. Okay. And then, like I mentioned before, in partnering with our local VA office here, they offer a program that's ideal for veterans who already have a clear established career goal, or those that can really learn easily by on-the-job, hands-on environment, right? So this program, the non-paid work experience program, is suited for veterans who are having difficulty finding opportunities. They're more of your entry level to mid-level. And they're going to be local to the Bay Area. They will pay for us to employ one of their apprentices or interns for up to a year. Each, based on our zip code, each of these veterans would be paid $3,600 a month, tax-free. So this is another really great opportunity for us to have veterans, at the lab, engage, learning about our science and research, and really connecting them to our current military talent community. I'm sure you guys are going to have questions about that one, because that's an exciting program to take advantage of. Let's see. And then lastly, another aspect of our program is making sure that we create a military-friendly culture. So it's one thing to engage and hire, but another thing is to be able to support a military employee or veteran employee in a way that will speak volumes outside of our community. So educating managers on the value of veteran employees is going to be important. Anyone that comes in contact with assessing resumes for veterans, interview panels, interview teams, it's going to be really critical for you to understand how to review their resumes, how to translate their military skills into areas within our laboratory or positions. And we've identified a specific training that all of our employees can participate in for free. It's the SHRM Veterans at Work Certificate Program. I think quite a few of the recruiters and some of the HR team have completed this training. It's only about 10 hours. I thought it was 3. I thought it was done at first after my initial videos, but then it was like 7 more. You got to take tests and watch videos. But I learned so much. I learned things that I just hadn't expected to learn about how we engage and how we attract and retain veteran communities. And I think it should be a mandatory best practice for anyone who's involved in the recruiting, assessing, and hiring of veteran talent to take this program, to take this training. And at the end of this presentation, there's going to be some links for you to participate in that, some links that you can access the training. Okay, there we go. How about questions?
Yes, I have a question. This is Henrik from engineering. Hi, how are you? Could you go back to that slide on the hiring heroes? And so you said this 3 times per year. Is this, so how, for that, for example, the January cohort, when would we need to start the effort of bringing sort of interviewing and all these kind of things?
I would say now, your recruiter, Rasul, has access to the shared folder where the resumes are available, as well as the spreadsheets. If you have already created a position description, that would be really helpful to share with your recruiter or share with the specific candidate. You are free to contact those candidates that are in that folder. There's resumes, there's spreadsheets, there's information on all of them. Handle it as if you would any other candidate interview. I definitely suggest you interview them. All of them have been gone through interviews with their host company, and some have already accepted offers. The host organization for this has been very flexible about the dates. So these cohort dates aren't in stone, they said. If you can't start someone till August or September, that's fine. Let's just communicate that to them up front so they know how to manage the transition timing for that particular veteran. Typically, they're eligible for this program in the military during their last 6 months of before they retire. So just keep those dates in mind. Does that answer your question, Aaron?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
We have one raised hand from Nathan, and then we'll move on to our next speakers, and then we can also take more Q&A at the end. So I'll go ahead and take Nathan's question. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, lady. Can you hear me? Okay. Am I able to, can you guys hear me? I'm not sure if this says.
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Go for it.
I just had a question about these kind of programs. I'm currently a PhD student at Berkeley. I'm a veteran. I'm trying to graduate this year, and I'm like kind of lost in like which of these programs, and maybe there's more to come about like which apply to me, because I'm not like recently separated anymore, and yeah, I'm looking at a career field that's something I didn't do in the service, and I would like to work at a national lab, and I'm kind of looking for some direction. That's actually why I joined this thing, this conference.
So on the resource page, I think it's going to be important for you to register with the Department of Veteran Affairs for that program, as well as the Hiring Our Heroes, connecting with them. And those links will take you to that. Is that what you're asking? How you can get
Yeah, I
involved?
guess
Yeah.
so. That I didn't know if, say, for instance, Hiring Our Heroes, I didn't know if that applies to me, I guess.
Are you a current employee at the lab?
I'm an affiliate.
Okay. Yeah, we would hire these as affiliates as well through the university, right?
Right, yeah. So I'm a student. I'm a PhD student on campus.
Yeah, based on what I read about the requirements for those programs, you could do that for Hiring Our Heroes and Department of Veteran Affairs.
Okay, so I should just register. Okay, I got these slides.
Yeah,
All right,
and
thank you.
send me an email so I can make sure I let them know my contacts with those agencies. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. For folks who have specific questions about starting up a program in your area or division, because there's a lot of different ways to get involved, please contact Kelly, and we can also open it up for Q&A toward the end. Okay.
I think someone had a question about demonstrations. Q-On, did you have a question for me?
Oh, I think you just mentioned briefly that you did demonstrations for interviews. Could you briefly talk about that?
So you can interview these candidates. Is interviewing these candidates, these veterans under the Hiring Our Heroes and the Department of Veteran Affairs programs is definitely encouraged. So you go through the same interview process as you would any other candidate. Same screening process.
Got it, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thank you so much, Kelly, for that insightful presentation. Lots of great resources. As you can see, we're trying to do a little bit more in the space. And with Kelly's help and with all the partnerships that we have in the community, we hope to, we rely on you for us to help get these off the ground. So thank you so much. Okay, so next up we have our next speaker, Rich Celestri. Rich was a reactor operator in the US Navy Submarine Force and has worked at Berkeley Lab for over 28 years. Rich started at the Bevatron as an electronics engineering technician, worked in the Environment, Health and Safety Division as a radioactive and mixed waste technician for a few years, and then moved to the Advanced Light Source, or ALS, where he has risen to the level of beamline scientist. He's worked as one of the chairs of the Veteran Employee Resource Group since its inception, and is looking forward to passing the baton to new leadership. So if we have some ERG members out here who is looking to take on a leadership role, please let us know. So with that, welcome, Rich.
Thank you for that nice introduction, lady. I am not currently a beamline scientist. I'm not going to misrepresent myself, especially since Steve is online. But I'd like to welcome my friends and colleagues, many of whom I recognize on the in the audience, along with at least 6 division directors. It's nice to see that level of support for our organization. I guess a big shout out should go to Lady, who was key in getting the Veterans Employee Resource Group off the ground. And that was, we wouldn't be where we are without her in many ways. So basically, it's like the Veterans Employee Resource Group, our job is to support the laboratory in its outreach and hiring efforts for bringing more veterans on board and raising the awareness of the unique skill sets that veterans bring to the organization from their pre-existing ability to work within teams. Because you don't survive in the military without being able to work as part of a team. And so people who can be a member of the Veterans Employee Resource Group are veteran employees, employees who are allies, and we also welcome affiliates who are veterans. So PhD students are especially invited to join the organization to use for networking. It can't hurt. And so some of our goals and additional goals are not just to aid the laboratory in its outreach, but to also ensure that the laboratory is making the efforts that are required to try and increase the hiring. I think it's trying to reach the OFCCP goal is a bit of a stretch, but with long-term work, I think we can get there. Some of the programs that Kelly has talked about look fantastic. I mean, she's really done a yeoman's job over the last couple of years in just really increasing the visibility of the laboratory and putting in place a structure where more veterans can be given an opportunity to become members of the laboratory environment. I mean, when I started, there were significantly more veterans at the laboratory, but that was mostly a function of them being Vietnam era veterans, and most of the technical staff at 25, 30 years ago were veterans. It's just that was the way that it was. Now I've also looked at like the hiring our heroes. I have access to that directory also, and there are some amazing people in there. People could easily step into mid-level management positions at the laboratory with like getting a running start. So I highly encourage people to look at that program, especially because a lot of the focus has been bringing veterans in at lower levels in the laboratory, at the technical level. But there's a lot of management and administrative positions that could be enhanced by bringing veterans. 3 of the division directors that are on this call are veterans. Maybe more have joined, but I know that at least 3 of them are. That's a huge improvement in our veteran hiring. It used to be that we had, I think, no division directors that were veterans, and then it's really gotten much better. And so one of our great accomplishments really was doing a veteran self-ID campaign that used a video that we shot out at Buchanan Field. And Lady's going to cue that up to be shown here in just about 10 seconds. But one of our outgoing deputy directors of ops, Ray, shot this for us. And with that, I'm going to turn this video over because it's important to get veterans to identify. It's a challenge because a lot of them don't want to be bothered. It's like, yeah, okay, I did my thing, leave me alone, just to put it frankly. And so I appreciate your attention, and for everyone who's signed on for this, I greatly appreciate your efforts. Lady?
Thank you so much, Rich. If you can see my screen here, we launched a veteran self-identification campaign in 2017. And the reason for that is, even though we were trying to do our best in the outreach space, getting veterans hired, we also realized that the self-identification numbers did not match the actual veteran population that we had. And I would say that this is also reflective of, different populations across the laboratory. So whether, you're a veteran, or you identify as a person with disability, or even race, gender, those kinds of demographics, we were trying our best to communicate that it's confidential, the self-identification part, and also to know that we want to recognize who our veterans are and at least understand where we are in terms of progress. So to Rich's point, we have our video here from Ray Turner. So I'll go ahead and play that for you all. If you want to get to it, there is a link here from our page. So you can actually just do a search up here of veteran self-ID. And there's a link here that'll take you to Ray's video. And again, this is from a couple years ago, so I'll go ahead and play it.
Hello, I'm Ray Turner, a fellow veteran here at the Berkeley Lab. Before coming to the Berkeley Lab, I had the great opportunity to serve our country for 21 years in the United States Navy. I'm currently serving as a Division Deputy for Operations at the Joint Genome Institute. I'm reaching out to the veterans to ask for your help in identifying yourself as a veteran through our employee self-service system. There's some good reasons for you to do this. First, it identifies your veteran status and recognizes the importance of our veteran workforce at the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. Second, it helps ensure the lab is accurately reporting our representation to show our progress in increasing our veteran presence in the workforce. And finally, self-identification helps us tap into our veteran population to assist the lab to develop veteran-friendly programs and policies. This will not only help our current employees for inclusion and retention purposes, but also to help attract veteran applicants to the workforce of the future. For those of you who may not have self-reported your veteran status, self-reporting is easy to do. Simply go to the A to Z index on the Berkeley Lab website under E, find employee self-service, log in, and go to the self-identification link on the left and scroll down to answer the 2 questions identifying yourself as a veteran. Please know that this information is confidential. It's just that easy. If you need assistance, your local HR representative is standing by to assist you. On behalf of Lab Management, thank you for your service to our country and your valuable contributions to the Berkeley Lab. For more information on the Berkeley Lab's efforts to employ and retain veterans, please contact the Veterans Employee Resource Group at verg@lbl.gov. Hello,
Okay. So I think that process of self-identification will change once we get over to a new system, but we'll be able to share that process soon. Before I turn it over to our next speakers, thanks again, Rich, for sharing information about the ERG. I also want to acknowledge the executive sponsor of our Veteran Employee Resource Group is also online. So it's Min Hubner. She's also the Chief Financial Officer. So just wanted to acknowledge our executive sponsor who has been also very supportive in our programs and in this effort. So thank you again, Min, for joining us. Okay, so on that note of increasing representation of vets, I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Michael Jason Bush. Jason once swore off working in information technology, or IT, after serving 13 years in the US Air Force as a computer technician. However, years later, he interned at Berkeley Lab through Empower, a program that prepares veterans and young adults for opportunities in the IT field. He is now a career employee at Berkeley Lab, who is passionate both about growing veteran outreach at the lab and about his work in the IT services group. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you so much, Lady. So Lady has asked me to share my story about how I came to the lab, how that opportunity was provided to me, and how I transitioned from an intern into a career employee and an advocate for veterans outreach here at the lab, and now thanks to that, also as a co-chair with Richard in the Veterans Employee Resource Group. So about 4 years ago, I had finished my college studies. I had been applying all over the place, just putting in resumes, applying at different companies through what I will call the black hole of resumes with no networking. And my results were following what would be expected is if you don't know people, get to meet people, you're not getting the attention, you're not getting your foot in the door anywhere. And I found out about this employee called NPower, which trains military veterans, and in my class it was all military veterans for careers in the tech industry. Now, their level of training was somewhat at the most basic certification you could get, but they were offering a current certification. What interested me was they were also giving the career development training, helping you to polish those resumes, get those interview skills up, doing your elevator pitch as you're meeting somebody. Just, hey, this is me, this is what I'm interested in doing, and just sparking an interest. And when we came to the lab, I had grown up in the Bay Area and I had no idea about this place. I knew nothing about Berkeley Lab. I knew nothing about their interest in hiring veterans. And I was living in South San Jose, so I did not even bring a resume when we came to the veteran event, which we continue to host. And at that meeting, I met Andrew Widley and Ian Vano, my future managers, and found out that they not only had an internship available for us, which is about 7 weeks of paid work at a slightly lower rate than I'm making now. And I found out that they had a job opportunity here at the lab. And when I looked at what they were hiring for, I looked at the job description. I was at about 80%, 90% of that skill set. I had already done a lot of that work. Now there are definitely Berkeley Lab customizations, but through that opportunity, now suddenly I was, can I email you my resume, because I'm really interested in that one. And fortunately, we were given the opportunity to come get some work experience. We had 5 of us in that group. Most of these people in our group were just learning. They were not ready for the career level here. However, they got to add Berkeley Lab on their resume. And despite what I did not know about this place, about our incredible history here, is that name does matter on your resume, and people do know the brand. People here are familiar, and we are a famous institution. So of the 5 who were here, 2 of us got job interviews, and we just, a few of us were able to stand out for particular reasons, and I was fortunate to be hired here, and immediately I had gone from a year and a half from school graduation, selling books on Amazon as my only personal source of income, to completing this internship, and I had done some less meaningful side jobs, but I was struggling. I wanted to belong somewhere, and I just felt from day one that I belonged here, and I was given that opportunity to continue that national service that I had built the first part of my adult life on, and continue to serve here at Berkeley Lab. And I'm here because somebody took the time, a lady, and I believe Michael from the IT group was instrumental in that. And sorry, I'm his last name's passing me. Sorry, Mike. but people took an interest and provided that opportunity, and gave us the chance to come in and show what we could do. Some of the programs that Kelly is talking about can pretty much let the people who are making those hiring decisions here get that for free. When I came, we funded that. We opened up a contract with NPower, that we created a requisition and paid a certain amount of our year-end funding to bring myself and other people on at the lab. So from that, once I got hired, I continued to still be interested in this veterans outreach and trying to share that experience with others. So our ERG asked, hey, we've got a recruiting event at Alameda Naval Air Station. We need some people to come out, some veterans to come out and help interact with people. So I went and did that. I also kept in touch with the Vets in Tech, which is a local, it's not a local group, but it happens to be headquartered in the area, and they have tech meet and greets. So I have gone to some of those once while I was here as an intern, as a potential job candidate in case things didn't work here. And then they had a national conference in San Francisco where I ran into one of my classmates from that group, Jason Herford. And I knew Jason was working with the Army Corps of Engineers. He was hired before anybody was out of our class, and was living out in Half Moon Base. So I was passing out information about Berkeley Lab because they let us do it. And he told me, actually, Jay, I'm interested in what you're talking about. I think I might be looking for a change. And they wanted to move this direction. And long story short, Jason applied for the same job that I do, and we hired him as part of the group that came in. So now we had done that. We had also gone to Berkeley City College, met with one of the veterans groups there, and brought on one of the people we met as an intern. And then he was able to be with us for several months before moving on to other things. So those opportunities, our group had to pay for a little bit. Now we're getting opportunities where the VA will be funding it, the Department of Labor or other agencies. We can bring on that experience, get to meet people, help them get their foot in the door, and possibly grow our veteran community here. And lastly from that, Phil used to be the co-chair of the Veterans ERG, Phil Weiss, and I worked with him at CFO. He saw the interest that I was taking. My manager took interest in the interest that I was taking, Tammy Campbell, and invited me to be on her panel that was studying hiring practices, and asked me to focus on veteran hiring practices. So all of those things, when Phil went to go work at Lawrence Livermore Lab, not Lawrence Berkeley Lab, so Phil moved on to Livermore Lab and asked if I could step in as the interim co-chair to continue that passion that I have to reach out and be part of the thought leadership in our veterans hiring practices, in our retention, in our outreach, and our communications. So I'm really grateful for that opportunity, and I'm happy to have worked with Kelly to go to the Student Veterans of America. And I think I will stop there and just thank everybody for putting this together. I think we've got about 5 minutes left.
Thank you so much, Jason. So as you can tell, these programs matter. They make a difference in a lot of people's lives, and it's an opportunity for us as leaders, as hiring managers, HR colleagues, recruiters, and so on, to really think about what opportunities are out there, and if, what we can do to actually provide those opportunities for advancement. So with that, we do just have a few minutes left here. Based on what you've heard, either about the ERG or some of these programs or Jason's experience, we'll open it up for Q&A. And you can raise your hand with the raise hand function, or if you want to put your question in the chat box. you can do that as well. Thank you.
I'm raising my hand. I'm Rick Blumhardt, working in the engineering division. I have just a quick point I wanted to make, and some of you may know that I went through a layoff in 2014. I ended up coming back to the lab after a scary 7 months, and I just wanted to point out that it was my experience during that layoff that my veteran status was not considered as far as eligibility for getting laid off, if you want to call it eligibility. So I wanted to encourage any of the division managers, other managers on this call that if it comes to layoffs again, that they do take that into consideration, and also to the HR people on the call as well. So just a quick point to make sure that retention is considered as well as hiring.
Rick, thanks for that point. As you saw in our stats in the beginning of this presentation, is that the hiring numbers might be going up, but the population might be going down because of retirements. And so we want to make sure that we're maintaining the number and also increasing the number. So there's a lot of work to be done in the outreach and retention space. So thank you for that point, Rick.
Okay.
There's a raised hand by Tammy. Welcome, Tammy. And also wanted to thank Tammy. She is one of the most supportive hiring managers here in terms of veteran talent. So just want to give you a shout out.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm hoping to hire another one soon. Question, lady, do we do, I know we talk about ERGs, I believe, in the onboarding of the new employees. Don't we have some kind of flyer that goes in there?
Thanks, Tammy. As far as I know, and if other folks from the HR division want to speak up, please do so. As far as I know, during the onboarding or the very quick orientation that people go through, and I had to go through it when I came back, there was a mention of diversity and inclusion, and there was a mention of the ERGs and how to get involved.
Okay, so is it possible to actually have a flyer specifically for the employee resource groups and actually highlighting veterans? Because I think sometimes we don't always know in the onboarding process what gets shared. I'm just saying that's another thing where we can emphasize self-identification and things like that.
Right, right. So yeah, we can certainly partner with our HR shared services and our ERG and make sure that we have the appropriate information that's shared out for new hires. So thank you for that, Tammy.
Hi, this is Rachel. I can go ahead and add on to that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, my video is not on. Okay, now you can see me. So Tammy, I think that's a really good point. I'm actually leading a group on onboarding, and that's one of the items that we are going to be adding on. We are concerned that, people are asking to share information on the first day of hire. It's going to go in one ear, out the other. It's going to be a lot of information for individuals on the first day. So one of the things that we're doing is we're actually working on when should information be disseminated to our new hires during a whole duration of an onboarding program. And so our onboarding program isn't just the first day, it's actually going to go out to the first year. So this is something that we can probably look at as people are getting acclimated to the lab, and it could probably be shared within the first week into the first month. So that's definitely something that we are looking at. So thank you for sharing. And it's going to be for all ERGs as well.
Okay, so what would be really great is as a hiring manager, just a reminder flyer for us to actually, when we sit down with our new employees, let's go over all these things. So, some kind of just something that comes to hiring managers.
You'll have a checklist. That's part of our onboarding program. So
Okay,
all
good.
supervisors will have a checklist, and it'll be easier for you rather than trying to remember all the information you need to share. There'll be resources available, there'll be a website, and there'll be a checklist for you to cover these things with your employees.
Okay,
thank you. And if you want to join our group, Tammy, we're more than welcome to have you.
I'll be glad to join, and I want that checklist because I'm hiring people now.
Thank you, Rachel. And for those who are interested in joining this onboarding working group, you can contact Rachel Carl. Thank you. Any other questions? Min, I'll turn it over to you, though there's a raised hand from Cameron, but Min, I'll turn it over to you. I just wanted to make sure that the group knows who you are and just any words for our audience today.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to this. It's great hearing Jason's story and Rich's background and all the wonderful things that we're doing in this front. I just wanted to share, it seemed really fortuitous that I had a conversation with Mike Witherell last week, and he took that part of the conversation to emphasize to me how important it is to him that this ERG work on increasing hiring. So seeing kind of everything we're doing in this space is wonderful, and I really hope everyone will take advantage of all the work that Kelly has done to give us resources and avenues on increasing our number. But I just wanted to share with you all that our lab director is plugged in, he's very interested, and it is really important to him. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Min. And if folks just joined, Min is the Veteran Employee Resource Group executive sponsor. Okay, we can take one more question if there are any. Thought I saw a raised hand, but maybe not. Okay, so we'll give you back your time. Thank you all for joining today. Thank you to our amazing speakers. Thank you to our very supportive hiring managers and leaders who are really committed to this. If you have additional questions on how to start something up in your local area, please do not hesitate to contact Kelly Johnson. And if you're interested in joining the onboarding group, please contact Rachel Carl. So on that note, and if you're interested in joining the ERG, you can email our office, dei@lbl.gov. On that note, take care, have a great weekend, and we will see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.